Welcome back to another episode of our Healthy Communities podcast. I'm Dr. Phil Huang, Director of Dallas County Health and Human Services. And in today's episode, we're fortunate to have with us Mr. Sean Lemoine, who is a Dallas resident who in 2009 experienced the severe form of West Nile virus. So we're fortunate to have him share his personal experience and insights with us today. So thanks so much for being here, Mr. Lemoine.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Wong.
So tell me, like before 2009, maybe talk about where you were and what was going on. How your health was.
I was fine. I was a otherwise normal and healthy 36-year-old. I had two small children at home, a 3-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. I'm a business trial lawyer, so I'd been trying cases most of that year, but otherwise fine. When I got bit by a mosquito in August of 2009 and ended up hospitalized for about a year.
So, West Nile virus, most people who get infected from the mosquito bite have no symptoms, about 80% of people. 20% have a mild form of the illness like fever, sort of achiness, joint pain, some rash. But then less than 1% get the severe neurologic form of West Nile virus. And unfortunately, that's what you had then. So you got a mosquito bite. Did you remember the mosquito bite or what, how did that?
Yes. And the reason I remember it's because I was with my son. We live in East Dallas and we were on the front porch working on the steps because they were cracked. And the mosquitoes were really bad. And I'm from Louisiana, and so I'm normally not bothered by mosquitoes, but it was bad enough that day. We were getting eaten up pretty bad. So he was 3, so I took him inside. I sprayed off with off, came back out and finished the job. And that was the only time I was even outside during that kind of a 2-week window because it's August and it's brutally hot. And about a week later, was feeling really bad, kind of like a summer cold.
So it was about a week after this mosquito.
The incubation period, they say, the information says it's about a week long.
Yeah, could be 2 to 14 days, but
right.
Usually.
But mine was fairly quick, and once it went downhill, it accelerated. I had meningitis and encephalitis. Didn't know it at the time, obviously.
But you start first symptoms. What were your first symptoms?
First symptoms started out just like a summer cold, just a malaise, didn't feel good, head's kind of hurting, that kind of thing. And then it got worse to the point where I called the office and said, I'm not going to come in today. I'm just going to sleep through the weekend.
Mm-hmm. And you're a lawyer.
Yeah.
So,
and probably about the 7th day, which I think was a Friday, I'm throwing up, vision's blacking out. I'm unstable. I can't stay, my nervous system's not working correctly. We go to the hospital. They do a brain scan, a CAT scan, because they think it would be a brain tumor for me to have the symptoms that I was having. And they didn't know it was. And then the last thing I remember is them saying, it's not a brain tumor. We're going to do a spinal tap, try and figure out why he's feeling the way he is, why it's deteriorating. And then that's the last thing I remember for about 3 weeks. They put me into a medically induced coma to deal with the brain swelling.
So from the spinal tap, they made the diagnosis of West Nile virus, but you were already out. You were in a medically induced coma, you said, for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. And then when you woke up after 3 weeks, and what was?
Well, when I woke up after 3 weeks, I was ventilated. Couldn't move because I had what's called acute flaccid paralysis, which is one of the side effects of the virus when you get the neuroinvasive form. So I pretty much couldn't move. Nothing was working correctly. One of my lungs was collapsed. I was in a tremendous amount of pain just from the nerve injury, nerve demyelination, just the injury to the nerves themselves. And so it's kind of just a downhill process there for a couple months.
So a couple more months. So it's 3 weeks after you were in a coma, then a couple more months. How long you were still hospitalized for all that couple months?
I was hospitalized from, I think, August 29th to February 28th, released for about a week, then back into the hospital, the blood infection, another week of that. And then
that's like 6 months.
Yeah. And then I did 5 days a week rehabilitation to learn how to walk again.
So you couldn't walk after that?
No. When they released me from the hospital, I was in a wheelchair. So and it then took a while to be able to learn to walk and, dress yourself, brush your teeth, the whole 9 yards. You get to do a lot of that you learn in the hospital, but afterwards, a lot of it you learn on your own.
And how long till you were able to get back to work?
I did not start back at work until January of 2021. So end of August, September 2019. I'm sorry, 2009
2000.
to 2011, not 21.
2011.
Yeah,
Okay.
2011. Yeah.
So a couple of years. That was
About 18 months.
18 months
Yeah.
to just get back to work. I mean, yeah, what a dramatic change to everything in your life, right?
Yeah. It certainly turned the world upside down.
Uh-huh. And yeah, again, that's from a mosquito bite, which just sort of scary how something as innocuous as that can lead to that.
Yeah, I'd never heard of West Nile virus until I got bit.
So now it's been over a decade, and you
Right.
still have symptoms, residual sort of impact.
Yeah, I mean, the neuroinvasive form hit me particularly hard. So I have asymmetric weakness throughout my body. Right leg doesn't work very well at all. Left leg's what keeps me up and moving. Frozen diaphragm on the right side, frozen vocal cord. I can't lift more than about 15 to 20 pounds. And it's just kind of a slow, steady decline. I went from paralyzed to wheelchaired, walker, cane to walking. And now I'm back with a cane on the kind of heading on the down slope.
Mm-hmm. Any sort of lessons then? I mean, what do you, I know we appreciate your telling the public about your experience and obviously all the things, I mean, just highlights how important it is to avoid mosquitoes and mosquito bites. What do you?
Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff I did at the time, spray off with off. I was obviously not out. I was not out at the right time. I was out at dusk. So the mosquitoes more active. But wear off long sleeve shirts, usually bright colors, white, stuff like that. Remove standing water in your yard. I think you've said before, it takes only a teaspoon for mosquitoes to grow, to incubate. And so people, if you leave bottles and flower plant stuff, they just have standing water, you're going to have a mosquito source in your backyard, and you're more likely to attract mosquitoes and more likely to get bit. And so it's just kind of common sense. But if you don't know that there's a risk to the mosquito bite, you don't think about it. Just like I didn't think about it because I grew up in Louisiana, and everybody's bitten by mosquitoes 1,000 times in your lifetime down there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, again, that's important messages to prevent those mosquito bites. We try to remember it by the 4 Ds, the DEET, or EPA-approved mosquito repellent, draining any standing water, dressing either long sleeves, long pants, and as light colored clothing, as you mentioned, avoiding when they're most active from dusk to dawn. So, yeah, very important messages. Anything else you want to share with the Dallas County community here about?
Just the old saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I can assure you that is 100% true.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And again, it's just so important for everyone to take it seriously. And unfortunately, you had to experience what the worst can happen with this neuroinvasive form of West Nile virus. So again, really appreciate your sharing this with us today.
Happy to be here and happy to help.
Thanks. So please make sure and join us on our next episode, where we'll continue the conversation about public health topics in Dallas County. And be sure to subscribe to the Healthy Communities podcast. Thanks.